What's up, everybody? I'm Allie Burns from Picks and Parlays, and it's time for another NFL Power Hour. It's a new show that we do every day at 3 p.m. Eastern, and it's been a lot of fun this first week. So if you haven't been checking them out, you might want to do a little recon mission and check out Monday through Friday of this week because we're going through regular season win totals. And I've got two handicappers on today that are going to talk about just that. But before we get started, I do have to tell you guys about our sponsor. It's BetMGM. Here's how this works. For all new accounts, they're hooking you up with $1,000 in a risk-free first bet when you get signed on with the BetMGM app. All you got to do is use that promo code MORNING, or you can check out the description of this video and click on the link. So, and also let's not all forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Very important. The NFL Power Hour is going on for all of football season, so you don't want to miss one single episode of it. So today I have two special guests. I've got Scott the Bulldog Rickenbaugh and Chip Chirimbus. We're going to start this party off with Scott Rickenbaugh talking about the Eagles, the old Philadelphia Eagles. How's it going, Scott? I haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
Doing well. How about you, Allie?
I'm rocking around. Gosh, you're lucky you're not in Vegas right now, man. It's been like 115 sweltering heat here. So you're lucky you're out of the country right now. Let me just tell you that, man.
Yeah, I've seen it's been brutal there for sure. So
It's insanity. So let's talk Eagles. Okay, regular season win total over or under 9.5 wins. I've heard a lot of buzz about this Eagles team. So tell me, what is your take on how their season's going to go?
Well, first off, I think a lot of the buzz is actually justified. But one of the things I want to caution people with about win totals that always scares me when playing these win totals is if you get a key injury or two during the season, I mean, that can change everything for a team in a hurry. So that's something that's always a concern for me with win totals. But of course, we project these things based on, what we expect to be a normal injury cycle for teams during the year. And when I look at this Eagles team, I got to be honest. At first, I wasn't too sure about Jalen Hurts at quarterback, and I know he's still a young guy, but I think he's coming around. He's really getting to the next level, and he could really be strong here in this second season for him. So one of the keys for him is that what opens up the passing game is if you have a strong running attack, and the Eagles were the number one rushing team in the NFL. And also keep in mind, he's got wheels too. So he's a good danger out of the backfield himself as far as being a running quarterback. So that sets up the offense well. And then they added A.J. Brown, which I think is going to be a key for this Eagles team this season offensively.
So when you're betting, my thing with you, I love futures, I really do, but I always bet them really small. And the reason why is because you're holding up a percentage of your bankroll from the beginning of a season all the way until the end of a season. So that's money you're not going to be able to bet with, but in the end of the season, you might be able to hedge with. When you're betting on futures, like what percentage of your normal unit size do you put on a future bet?
Well, I agree with you. For me, it's very small, and it's for the same for the same reason that you just mentioned. You're tying up your bankroll, and then also, like I said at the top here, the injury factor. I mean, that can really change a team's projection in a hurry. I mean, you lose your star quarterback, you're in trouble if he's going to be out for 5 to 8 weeks, miss half the season. It changes everything. So for me, it's a very small percentage. I mean, it's much less than a normal wager, that's for sure, for me at least. Again, but you're right too, that if things go right, you can be set up perfect for some nice hedging toward the latter stage of the season as well. So then it can set up very nicely for you too.
And do you like if there's a quarterback or a player who is injury prone, like McCaffrey for an example, there's just a player that's injury prone. Do you take that into account when you're doing a season win total or a future like that? Like the book thinks the public thinks this, but this guy's probably going to get injured because he usually does, and that's now an inflated line. Do you take a look at injury prone players at all?
I think you have to factor that in and put some kind of probability factor with the way that you're handicapping that. And then the other key that then comes from that is how strong is the backup? How deep is this team? Do they have the depth to make up for a guy being out for a period of time? And so you look at those injury prone guys and you have to factor that in as well. And
Absolutely.
for sure. 100%.
Okay, so we've got the total is 9.5, and it's a minus 110 on either side. So the book is like saying this is the number. We're not sure if it goes to 10. We're not sure if it's at 9. We're pretty even on this one. What do you think? Are we going over or under 9.5 total wins this season?
Well, one of the first things I looked at with their schedule is that 6 of their 17 games are against teams that are projected to win 9 or more games. So that's how many are against pretty solid teams. 4 of those 6 games are at home, so that helps the Eagles. Then when you look at their games against poor teams that are projected to win 6.5 games or less, they have 3 of their 8 road games are against those teams. So that means, hey, they're playing a lesser team. It's one of their road games, though, so they still have a chance to win that. In other words, it's not like they have a bunch of road games against high quality, high tier opponents. So I think this is going to help the Eagles. They've got a good percentage of their games against the stronger teams at home, and then they got some weaker teams on the road that they should be able to go and take care of business in those. And so I am looking at the over for the Eagles for this season. And one of the keys for me, though, is will Jalen Hurts continue to develop well and will the Eagles rushing attack stay strong to allow him for that further development? And again, do they get good production out of A.J. Brown right away? Because that'll be a key for this Eagles offense and how he meshes with Devontae Smith as well. And I think it's a real key for the Eagles. And then on the other side of the ball, I like some of the additions they've made defensively, but they do have a young defensive coordinator. So you're talking about a young quarterback and a young defensive coordinator on the other side of the ball. That's a couple of question marks for me, but I still think this Eagles team is a quality team. And then you look at the rest of the division, the Cowboys are strong, but other than that, the Giants and Washington, pretty weak as usual. So it's a very winnable division for the Eagles too.
So let's cruise through the schedule just real quick. I know you only have so much time, but we'll kind of buzz through the schedule. We'll count up our wins, kind of a thing.
Okay.
So they started off at Detroit, at the Lions. Is that a win or a loss?
Should be a win. Should be a win.
Versus the Minnesota at home versus the Vikings.
And there's a game where I think the key is being at home. Again, there, of course, nothing is ever a sure thing. That's for certain. But
right.
That would be a game I would look at and say, hey, that's one of the ones I'm looking for the Eagles to win.
So then we're going at Washington.
And again, we can't say they're going to win every game, but that's one, and that's a series too that just going off of memory here. So don't quote me on this, but I think that a lot of times the road team has prevailed in that Washington-Philly series. Tends to be a split, and actually the Eagles have had good success against Washington through the years. Again, I would look for them to win that game.
And then we've got Jacksonville, Arizona, and Dallas on the slate next. What do you think about those?
Well, the Arizona game, I think, is a road game. Isn't that right?
Yep, they're at Arizona.
And I think, that could be a loss. I think the Dallas game could be a loss, but they should take the Jacksonville game.
And they have a bye week, and it gets a little more complicated. They face Pittsburgh.
And I think one of the keys there is they're coming off the bye week. And again, if we're projecting that they lose to Dallas, but then they have a bye week, and there's a good amount of time to recover in there, both mentally and physically, I think they come out and can take that game against Pittsburgh.
Then they face my Houston Texans, Washington again for the second time, and then the Colts. What do we think about those three?
Well, I think the Washington series should be a split, yes. And then, and who do they have after Washington?
They have at their Pittsburgh, and then at Houston, Washington, and then at the Colts.
So they take the Houston game, but then the Colts one I think is going to be a tough matchup for them, and I see them losing that one on the road.
Then they're at home versus Green Bay, and then against the Titans the following week.
See, the key there is, I think, and the game against the Titans is at Tennessee, right? Is that one at Tennessee?
No, they're at home.
Oh, they are at home for that one. Mm-hmm. They can take both those games because I know a lot of people would say, oh, Green Bay's too strong. But I think that in that situation, I think the home field is going to be the difference here in those games.
And then we're going to go at the Giants, at the Bears, at the Cowboys.
And I think they lose That first matchup at the Giants. Again, I know the Giants aren't a great team, but hey, it's NFC East. They tend to split these kind of games through the season, and I could see them, especially if we're projecting coming off a couple of big home wins and they go on the road and lose. And then after that, who they have after the Giants? I'm sorry, Allie?
They have at the Bears and then at the Cowboys.
So then they bounce back and get the win against the Bears. And then against the Cowboys, I think they would bounce back. We had them losing that first matchup. Again, they get the split and they win on the road. And again, Dallas so many times tends to struggle at home. It's like, it's
They
America's.
built you that big giant stadium. Why don't you win in it, for crying out loud?
Yes, that's right.
That's just it. And then they finish up with 2 home games, the Saints and the Giants again.
So I would project them to get the revenge against the Giants. We had them losing at New York. And of course, there's a lot of variables too when you come late in the season like that, when you're projecting. It's if they're already locked into a playoff position, that's going to affect that final game. They should be able to take care of business against the Saints at home. Again, it would be a tough matchup, but I like the Eagles at home. They really do tend to play quite well at home. And especially that also helps when you have a young quarterback like Hurts.
Yes, indeed. And I feel like the odds makers are trying to tell us, like, a lot of the season win totals, the Bears are at a 6.5. I think that's going to even go down to a 6. So a 9.5 is a solid number. They're saying, I think you have a decent season this year, and that it's at a -110 on both sides. There's no juice on it. Like, 9.5, but the juice is on the under. No, that's
right.
not fair. They're kind of solid on this number. So that makes me kind of solid on this number. And especially since you're on it, I'm even more solid on this number. So we're going to take the Eagles team total over 9.5 wins for the regular season. Scott Rickenbaugh, what do you have lined up over at picksandparlays.net for all of our viewers looking for premium plays?
Well, we're talking about a big weekend up ahead. There's actually some solid baseball action, of course, now coming back from the break. And now that you get, it's always scary right after the break, but you get those first couple of games under your belt for the teams, and you get to kind of see how they're playing again. Then that next weekend series can be a chance to step in a little bit bigger. So we've got some big baseball action this weekend. And of course, getting excited about the football season, Allie. It's getting close.
It's getting really close. I'm really excited about it. Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining us. People at home, if you're looking for Scott the Bulldog Rickenbaugh's premium plays, head over to picksandparlays.net. Use the promo code CFL. That's going to save you 20% off whatever you buy from Scott. And until then, we're going with the Eagles regular season win total over 9.5 wins. Thank you so much for joining us, Scott. Up next,
Thank you, Allie.
Thank you. Cheers. So up next, I've got Chip Chirimbus coming in. But before we start, I got to remind everyone to like and subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and also check out our sponsor, BetMGM. Use that promo code MORNING. It's going to get all new accounts hooked up with up to $1,000 in a risk-free first bet. That's no joke, people. That's free money is what that is. Use that promo code MORNING or check out the description of this video and click on the link. All right, my next guest is Chip Chirimbus, the man, the myth, the legend. We're going to talk some Raiders with Chip today. How's it going, Chipper?
It's going just wonderful, Allie. Football's right on the horizon. They've already reported to camp, particularly the Raiders. And just looking forward to baseball as well. So Canadian football sneaks in a little bit, but you know what happens once the NFL season starts. I mean, it's already madness out here in Las Vegas.
That's just it. It's like Canadian football is like, it's like the training camp for the NFL, like just to keep your football brain sharp, got to keep that football brain sharp
like,
while there's
it's like the preliminaries, you sit there and you get warmed up for it, I guess.
Exactly. So we're talking the Las Vegas Raiders. You and I both live in Las Vegas. This is the home team here. We've got a regular season win total of 8.5. A lot of changes happening, not only in the off season, but in the last season of their football career. We had a coaching change. We had the Ruggs situation. There was a lot going on last season. Things have kind of gelled up a bit. We got Devontae Adams. Stuff is going on for us. What are you thinking? Over or under the 8.5? I kind of think this number is kind of right on. What are your thoughts, Chipper?
Well, I've got a lot of thoughts about this game. I'd like to mention that we did 2 games last season, and I played under in both of them, both New York teams, the Jets and the Giants, and we won them easily. I'm going to play under for the Raiders, and it's not so much because of the talent level or the schedule or anything else. I'll tell you what the dynamics of my selection came out to be, Allie. During the summer, of course, they put out the early lines for total wins. And one of the properties out here in Las Vegas listed this Las Vegas Raider team, which went to the playoffs last year, at 8, a flat 8. Most of the other casinos had 8.5. That 8.5, that 8, by the way, has gone up to 8.5, but you have to lay $1.30 to go over. So my first thought was they are begging local Las Vegas residents, the gamblers, the players, to bet on the Raiders, and they only have to go 9-8, 17-game schedule. They only have to be one game over 500 to collect their bet. And that wasn't so much the clue to me, Ali, as the fact that in order to lose that wager, Raiders have to go 7-10 for them to lose, because if they go 8-9, it's a push. So my thought is they're really fading the Raiders here. They don't think the Raiders are going to have the kind of year they had last year. And why? With the addition of, say, Josh Daniels now taking over at head coaching, Devontae Adams, Carr's roommate and the leading receiver in the NFL the last 3 years, has come over from Green Bay. He's got to help the receiving corps, and which has already had Darrell Walker had 1,000 yards and 100 receptions, and Hunter Renfrow last year. Josh Jacobs is their running back, and they're going to key on him. And you know something? I think there was a red flag came up, Ali, when they didn't re-sign him, as his yards per attempt average has gone down every year. He's not a really big back. He only averaged 4 yards a carry last year, and maybe that has a lot more to do with the Raiders' offensive line than Josh Jacobs. But they did not re-sign him. He's playing out his original contract right now. On defense, they got Chandler Jones from Atlanta. They got Max Crosby. This team seems like it's so destined to do so well, and all the reports are so positive, and all the additions have been positive. But they did exchange a head coach, Josh Daniels, who hasn't won. He has been a long time since he's been head coaching, and he didn't win when he did coach before. You lost Gruden. You lost his replacement, his interim coach. Maybe it isn't as stable as you might seem, Ali. That number 8 came as an over-under, really shook me up, because I said, who is going to bet under 8? All the other casinos had 8.5, but this property was looking for you to play the Raiders, because they'd have to lose 10 games for you to lose that bet. So I'm playing this game not on their schedule, not on the talent. I'm playing this game under, because not only is the number telling me to fade this team, but you have to remember Russell Wilson is now a member of the Denver Broncos, and the Raiders are the 4th-seeded team in their division. The Broncos are now favored over the Raiders for the win total on the year. So I think the odds makers are telling you that after that great season the Raiders had last year, everyone's expecting big things, and they got all these people coming in, and they make all these additions. Let's see what happens. The odds maker doesn't believe it, so I don't either. I'm going to play Raiders under 8.5, and I'll tell you something. If you can wait till as close as you can to the end of the season, you might be able to play under 9. And because I saw there was a 9, and the favorite became the underdog at minus $1.30, and that might happen.
Well, heck yeah. I've got it. The unders at even money is what I've got right now.
Right.
Man, I like that breakdown, Chipper. That's how you handicap people. That's how you do it right there. Because, yeah, part of the thought is that the Raiders did make all these additions, as you were saying. We've got this, we've got that. But you know what? Other teams did that too. It wasn't like just us that did that. That was happening in other spots. And how does all that add up? And you're absolutely right. You put that number at an 8. You're saying you're going to lose 10 games. That's basically what you're saying. So, gosh, I love that breakdown. Chip, you're so sharp. If people are looking for your sharp bets for those premium Chip Chirimbus plays, they're going to head over to picksandparlays.net. What are you into? What are you making money on right now?
Well, right now, baseball is about our only choice. And, it's like the way it goes when you go shopping in Romania. Do you want cornflakes with or without? And that means with or without a box. But, this is baseball is our only choice right now. We'll be logging on with triple plays on the weekends for sure. And I have to be careful with these high lines, Ali. I don't like laying over $1.20. So, sometimes there's so many games or so many teams are favored so heavily. It's really difficult to sort through it. So Right now, though, we're getting ready. The NFL has reported, and there'll be lines up on games coming up pretty soon.
I'm very excited. Are you a big game of the year person? You're
I
big on that, aren't
thank you
you?
so much for bringing that up, Allie.
Yeah,
Because
I remember that about you. You crushed games of
last
the year.
year I didn't post my game of the year, and we have different conferences, so I have a number of games of the year. Maybe the Southwest, maybe the Big Ten, and maybe the NFL. But I didn't start until the 4th week of October posting a game of the year, and I went 10-0 on the season, and that is documented on Picks and Parlays. We didn't miss a game. We don't post every single week. Some people have a game of the year every other day. I'm looking for it in certain conferences. We had that big Ohio State 61-0 win as our blowout game of the year, but it really fell into place. I'm expecting more of the same this year and really looking forward to it.
All right. I knew I remembered that about you.
Yeah.
That's why it popped in my head. I'm like, I swear that guy crushed those freaking games of the year last season.
Yes.
So people at home, if you want to crush the games of the year with Chip, remember he was 10-0 on those suckers. Head over to picksandparlays.net and then use the promo code CFL. That's going to save you 20% off whatever you purchase from Chip. And remember, you don't have to just get a 1-day pass or a 3-day pass. You can get a week-long subscription or a month-long subscription from any of our handicappers for that matter. Sometimes that's really where the value is when you've got a whole NFL season coming up. Just buy Chip's NFL Pass. Get all of his picks for the entire season and save yourself some loot. And you can use the promo code CFL and save 20% on that. Until then, we're rolling with it under 8.5 season wins for the Las Vegas Raiders. Thank you for coming on, Chipper. It's so great to see you as always.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Closing it out on the NFL Power Hour. Again, I'm Allie Burns from Picks and Parlays, and our official sponsor, BetMGM, just needs you to use that promo code MORNING, and that is going to take you to the site where you can sugar nuts. And we're live too. I can't even have an edit there. That's going to take you to the app where you can plug in that promo code and get up to $1,000 in your risk-free first bet. Don't forget, the Picks and Parlays NFL Power Hour is going on every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So you've got to like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. That way, a little ding-dong happens and it's like, hey, it's time to talk football. And you're like, awesome, I love to talk football. And then that happens. You just experienced it right here on the Max Wagers Network. Picks and Parlays. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you on Monday.